G'day fellas, welcome back to another video on the new African Royals DLC. In this video we're going to be talking about what the standard build order is for Ethiopia when you are opening up with them in the first stage, what I found to be working most effectively for me. So let's get into it. We're going to start by the very first thing that we're doing is dropping down our livestock market, and we're going to be moving our explorer out. So let's get to it. Then we're going to move our cattle over. Ideally you want to try and keep this behind your town center, away from the front. Assign your cattle onto the livestock market and then begin training that villager. As soon as you've got that villager trained, you're going to send a villager out to shoot once and then drop down your granary immediately. You want to make sure that you shoot all of your subsequent deer or gazelles or whatever they are underneath the granary radius. You can see right here it is a square. You need to also shift click your granary builder onto other hunts, because when it comes to the granary, if you just right click it like that, he's just going to end up shooting these gazelles. Even though there's one right here that he can take, he's going to do that. Now as soon as your granary is finished, what you're going to do, sell one of your cows immediately for wood and get the granary upgrade. So it costs 50 wood to get this one. It's called Village Dogs. And in addition to that, you're also going to be dropping down a house. With the African civs, base building is very important, just simply because of how much space their granaries and their farms take up. So you do really need to be careful with the way that you place your with your buildings. So you can see I actually moved my villagers in right here because this is outside of the radius. Now it gives a little buff to the villagers, so 0.97, rather 0.88, but 0.97 with the buff. So you really want to make sure that they are all sitting inside this little box. So just something as simple as that is quite important. Also make sure that you're keeping all of your hunts relatively close to your town center, just like this, and making sure that they are all getting shot underneath in this little area. Very important. Now one of the things that I'm not doing is I'm not collecting any treasures at the moment, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shoot these guys just for experience. For the first card that we're going to be sending in, it's going to be Trinity, so that's your 2 villagers as well as an Abun. So you can see that my villagers did a little bit of standing and shooting right there. Probably not the wisest thing for me to do. Looks like we've got Big Bo up here. Don't be stealing. Don't be stealing it. Oh, I literally was. You know, sometimes you get them and sometimes you get got. And it looks like we got there. So I was literally just taking that for the experience, and he came along and he gave me one of the old 1-2. So unfortunate, but that's okay. It happens. And the reason why you need experience, ideally you want to be looking for experience treasures in the early game, is because the second card that you're going to be sending is Jesuit Influence. So with Jesuit Influence, it's going to be giving you 200 influence for every shipment that you subsequently send throughout the game. So it's kind of like Spanish Gold, except for influence. So really, really strong card. You do want to try and get it in as early as possible. And so when your Abun arrives, you can just use him for scouting. He can also take treasures as well, so be very cautious of that. Going up with the Jesuits now, and then making sure we overgather 50 food, and then transitioning all of our villagers out over onto wood. So we're just going to wait down here. So your Abun can do scouting in the transition period, and the reason why is because he can't work without a mountain monastery, and you don't really want to build a mountain monastery. They're 200 wood. Quite expensive, so he can, in addition to scouting, he can also attack. He's got a very light attack and can also heal. So we're just going to make sure that we use him to attack. Now, in the transition period, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be dropping down a house, and you're also going to be doing some herding. So send out 2 villagers for your herding. So the first villager is going to be herding, and the second villager is going to be dropping down a granary. Now, once you've dropped down that house, you're going to need to gather 230 wood. That is what you're going to need, 230 wood. So do not forget about that. Thank you very much. So 230 wood. Once you've got 230, pulling all of your villagers off, everybody is then going onto food, making sure that you're continuing to do your herding. And the reason why you want 230 and not a single one more or less is because you're going to be dropping down, as soon as you age up, you're going to be dropping down a war camp. So you're going to you can send out 2 forward villagers here if you like. You don't have to do that. I'm going to do it here just because, you know, I want to demonstrate this. And making sure that you pick up your XP crates as soon as you age up, and then dropping down that war camp. And then with that, you're going to get a church wagon. So drop down your mountain monastery. Get your Abun ready up the back. If you've got any villagers on wood like that little guy was, make sure that you are sorting them out. Continue herding as well. Our church is now up. We're just going to leave that up. It's going to generate XP. 4 vils is the first shipment. Sending on our Abun over to the mountain monastery and putting it onto 50%. Now we've got our forward base. We're going to be putting 1 Gaskania in pop, and you'll see that we have exactly, well, we've got 8 wood at the moment, but the idea is that we don't really want to go more wood than we need to, and so that's why we're doing that. So now, beginning to herd in the hunts. And so the way this is going to work is we're going to time it based on our Gaskania. So you can see that we're about to finish our Gaskania, so I'm selling livestock at the market, and then I'm training my Gaskanias here. Now, my 4 villager shipment is going to come through over onto the wood, and all of my subsequent villagers are also going to do that. I'm going to drop down a house. I've got another Gaskania that's in queue. I'm going to continue training villagers at this point and make sure that I'm picking up all of my influence, because now I need to have 500 influence for this shipment that comes in, which is going to be your 9 cannoneers. I'm going to move some more villagers up over back here. I'm going to continue herding as well. Might do that. I've actually just made a big mistake, and that is that my batch of Gaskanias didn't get fully produced. So I should have sold a cow right before that happened. So a little bit of a mistake by me. And so you sell the cow and for wood once again, and drop down another hut with it. Continue making Gaskanias at the front. Continue training villagers at the back. Trying to avoid going idle. You can see we've got more Gaskanias in here, so I think this will take us up to about 11 Gaskania. And the idea is that you want to have about 15 Gaskania before you start considering an age up. So we've got 11 Gaskania, so I'm going to train 4 more. And then once I've got those 4 Gaskania, then I'm going to move my villagers all the way over onto food. Just like that. And you can see that we're sitting at the moment at a pretty decent or pretty safe amount of resources. So that'll be our final Gaskania in queue. And then our villager will also go into queue. We should have, so you'll be fighting in this period right here. You'll be gaining experience as you do. And so I'm just going to use a cheat just to sort of replicate that. And then you're going to send Big Benny in from the home city. And Big Benny is going to take you up to the fortress age. So the way that Big Benny works is because you haven't sold any cattle so far for coin, you're going to be getting 100% livestock value from Big Benny. Now, Big Benny, when he comes in, he's going to be worth a whole whopping 900 coin. But keep in mind, there's an opportunity cost associated with that. You could have sent 700 coin and then retained your livestock value and then subsequently the ability to use it later in the game. And so with that, you've got your Abus guns, you've got your Gaskania, you're on the front, you're fighting, you're defending. This is more than enough to take out a forward base here. So now Big Benny comes in. You're immediately just going to sell him at the livestock market. There it is. And now you're aging up with the Portuguese to the next age, making sure you get this research here from the mountain monastery. You can see we've got 432 resources sitting right there. Kebra which is going to decrease the age up time in the transition period. A lot of villagers going over to wood. Now keep in mind, when we do age up to the next age, we are going to be aging up and getting wood there as well, but we need to make sure that we drop houses down in the transition period and we prepare a lot of space because we're going to be sending in big shipments like the Sebastopol mortar, like the 9 Gaskania, the 8 Gaskania, the 7 Neftania. There's going to be a lot of shipments that are coming in. Now, keep in mind, you do have 1 Zebu cattle that is still fattening, so I would encourage you at this point, you can sell this cattle right now, and then you can train 4 more, or in this case, I can actually train 5 more. So I think that's definitely something to consider doing. But one of the things to consider is that you're going to need to get your veterancy upgrade. It's going to cost you 250 for that. So now you've aged up to the next age. You drop down your arsenal, your next mountain monastery. You're going to drop down a couple of houses as well. But in addition to that, you're going to be picking up the wood that is on the ground. So you can see that there's 600 wood sitting down on the ground. Going to continue training units in the transition period as well as when you get up. As soon as you get up, if you've still got that mass, then you can send in your Sebastopol mortar. If you don't have a significant mass, then it might be a good idea to train units instead or to send Gaskania. Make sure that you drop down a second war hut or a war camp rather. And then with that, you're going to be making sure. So after that, you would be sending in the 9 Gaskania, then the 8 Gaskania, and getting your veterancy upgrade. So that's the veterancy upgrade there. That's your first look at what is the current build order for the Ethiopians. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, make sure you leave a like. If you think that I've missed anything, make sure you leave a comment, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.